that is down below here on a really, really spicy list here. This Dimir Enchantments list, it's kind of like the Esper Pixie list we've seen before, but a lot of different takes. There is some Valley Flood Callers in there, so kind of trying to combo off with that. Up against, kind of out of the format, we got JT on Gruul Aggro.
JT for a second there, I was like, is this Jace the Mind Sculptor or something? No.
Yeah.
It's just JT playing Gruul Aggro. Gruul Aggro is something that everyone's pretty familiar with at this point, I think.
Yes.
But this Esper Pixie / Dimir bounce list that we've seen is kind of a new take that's made its appearance.
Yeah, and I mean, Gerry historically over the years, has been around the game forever, doesn't really just, pick up a stock list and bring it to town. He definitely likes innovating, having that unknown factor, especially in a closed deck list tournament like it is for day one, and also just couple things, an amazing player and an amazing guy as well.
Oh yeah, super, super nice guy. Starting things off here with a Hopeless Nightmare into a Nowhere to Run, getting rid of that Paw Patch Recruit. So, Emberheart Challenger gonna try and pick up the pieces here and ding Gerry down for another 2 hit points.
And here is a little bit of the cost here when you play Nowhere to Run here at Sorcery Speed to deal with that. But you're trying to play around Snakeskin Veil, something like that, we don't necessarily, Gerry doesn't necessarily know if they're in the list here. We, of course, have the information that they're not. But that is the information you gain off a closed deckless tournament like this. And the big response to this is Emberheart Challenger gets to untap, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, if we are able to target it with something here for Jay, they could get something pretty useful off the top of the library, but it is just going to be Paw Patch Recruit ×2. The bunnies are multiplying.
Yep, and Jay did have the ability to attack with the Challenger here. Of course, we know there's a 2-3. Jay might not have a thing, but this is the kind of thing where you want to bluff most of the time. If you have a Monstrous Rage, Gerry probably can't block.
Yeah.
So that could have been free, but the corner case scenario that Gerry T called his bluff would have blocked, and it could have been a nightmare.
It's kind of the hashtag against the Gruul Aggro deck, right? It's
Yeah.
hashtag never block.
There you go.
I love Paw Patch Recruit. I think this little guy is so, so sweet because there's so much spot removal in this format.
Yes.
It's you could just assemble a board that is just massive and can overrun your opponents. All these little guys have trample too, so.
Yeah. No, and it low-key is kind of the Snakeskin Veil replacement because it already kind of protects like Snakeskin Veil does. Like, if you go to cut down this Challenger, you just put that 2 power and displaced it to other creatures.
Yeah.
So it's basically like saving the creature.
Yeah, you solve one problem, but create a couple more as we see Screaming Nemesis hit the board now for Jay. Jay's sitting in a pretty good position here, but, there's a bunch of permanents on both players' boards, so really gumming up the battlefield at this point.
So here's an interesting spot. Screaming Nemesis is coming in. Now, if Gerry has a removal spell, something he can do is double block with Fear of Isolation and an Otter. That kind of forces Jay to blink first, as we like to say.
Yeah.
And then if Jay goes for something like a Monstrous Rage, Gerry can then cast a removal spell like we saw him return to his hand.
Yeah.
But looks like Gerry does not want to put Jay into that situation.
We could also see this town ain't big enough.
It's just not big enough.
I do like saying that.
Me
part.
too.
It's quite fun.
I know. I can't say it in not in a Western accent.
Yeah,
too. It's impossible.
It's impossible. You have to. By law, you are obliged to say it as a Western.
I think you're right.
Yep. Cool. Turn passes back now to Gerry Thompson. So both players getting their boards assembled, executing their game plan, and the turn's just going to pass back. So Gerry holding a pretty big grip of cards there, and let's see where Jay goes to this turn.
So 4 mana here is
Manifold Mouse.
Manifold Mouse to be able to really start getting some heavy damage in here, being able to get that Challenger going, to be able to draw some extra cards. It's going to be a very tough thing for Gerry to deal with unless he starts killing these creatures.
I think before he goes to combat, Gerry's thinking about getting rid of this Manifold Mouse because, truth be told, this mouse is the biggest problem out of all the mice in the team.
Yeah.
If it has friends, okay. If it's got friends. By itself, sure, it's not great. But, between the two, I kind of really do want to kill that Manifold Mouse.
And that's the bummer, though, is if you do kill that, those 2 counters are going to different creatures.
Yeah.
That Paw Patch Recruit is going to be doing some serious work here for the rest of this game.
Yep. Heavily lifting. It's kind of like, when this creature dies, distribute its power to 2 other creatures. This is essentially what it should say.
Pretty much.
Ooh.
And now we are going to see, there is kind of one card in Gerry's main deck that we're really going to be looking out for, and it's a one of Gix Command.
Yep.
Like, that is really the one thing I'm looking at as a way for Gerry to kind of stabilize the battlefield without going wide and trying to finish the game, which is far from able to be happening right now.
Yeah. All right. So now we have more mice.
So Jay's still playing it very conservatively, only getting in with the Screaming Nemesis.
There comes the Nowhere to Run. Screaming Nemesis down, triggers the Paw Patch recruits, and the Emberheart Challenger is going to get both of those counters.
Okay.
Woo-wee.
Getting large.
Large indeed.
And now it's just a uphill battle trying to deal with all these creatures while they just displace their counters if you're not dealing with the patchworks first. So Gerry is definitely looking for land Gix Command. I mean, it is just a one-of, but that would be unbelievable right now. He could have Jay sack a largest creature and then sweep the rest of the board. That's a very big indicator that it's not there, though, Haley.
Yeah, no, this is a rough spot to be in because, with those paw patches down, you kind of need to get rid of those. But by the time you manage to deal with them, this Emberheart Challenger and its manifold friends are just going to run away with the game.
100%. So it looks like this is an activation from the land to be able to get the Challenger going. And I believe this is probably going to be the turn where we see this getting in there.
Torch Tower, the card exiled. So a good way to remove one of the blockers in the way.
Yep. And Gerry with only 2 cards here. They got to be really nice. You know, some of the better ones would be like this town ain't big enough to be able to get some value here, but even that only puts a Band-Aid over the problem.
Oh, yeah.
It is really the aforementioned Gix Command.
It is kind of like putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound.
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
You know, it may look like it fixes the problem, but we know better. As we're going to see the Emberheart Challenger swinging in here, double strike and trample attached to this friend, and we do know that there is a spell ready and waiting to trigger the prowess there for JT as well.
Yep, and right now it is 5 power thanks to the land boosting it up. Second, nowhere to run to be able to deal with something here.
Trigger.
And this is a very, very curious play. I think what Gerry is trying to do here is kind of bait Jay into beefing up this Challenger even more. And then that last card, I'm just guessing, is this town ain't big enough? Or some kind of hard removal spell to deal with the card. But Gerry really isn't playing a lot of hard removal spells. So that's the only thing that would make sense to me with a play like this. So I think if Jay, gets wind of that, he'll do exactly what he did. Disperse these counters a little bit.
Yeah, spread them out. Make sure not to put all your eggs in one basket or all your mice into one trap, I guess. He is playing one copy of Bloodout, which is an interesting inclusion, but it doesn't unfortunately affect the highest power creature. It's the highest mana value.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Gerry, for helping me out there.
This town ain't big enough for both of us. They just couldn't put the rest of the title on the card, you see. It's too many words.
Honestly, that might be right. So that makes sense, as that's really the only card where Gerry would ever want to play that before damage would resolve.
Yeah.
But still, it's not great, because now there is only one counter being placed on the other one, but Jay has the ability to just recast this creature, or better yet, more mice.
Oh, goodness me. Manifold mice aplenty. We're going to get another token on the board here, and they're just having the best time. Bloomburrow is such a sweet set.
It really was. It really was an amazing set. But right now, Gerry's only channeling his brother's war card for Gix Command, as that would be the only card that looks to immediately stabilize him.
Now, we do know that there's a second copy of Nowhere to Run in hand, so that is face-up information for Jay to be aware of. These other creatures are on blocking duty, and we don't even see the activation of Storm Chaser's talents, because there's nothing, I suppose there is the, this town is big enough in the bin.
Yeah.
So we could see some combination of that next turn, but let's try and survive this next attack first.
Yeah, if we see land 6 come in, I can imagine that is a very popular play that we're going to see.
Yeah.
That combination, by the way, everyone, we are going to be seeing a lot of across the weekend. The Storm Chasers talent, this town ain't big enough, whether it's the Otters deck, the Simic Terrors deck, you know, these new special Esper or Dimir Pixie-style decks.
Yeah.
It's an extremely good combination, and we're going to see a lot of it.
Yep. I like to call it the bounce house. Boing, boing, boing.
I like it. I like it.
Yep. And it's very rare that we'll ever see the last, what do you call it, chapter unlocked of the talent.
Almost never, unless the person playing it is extremely flooded. That's usually the only one that you see. You'll see it in Otters a little bit more, you know, because they do generate so much mana, but as it stands here, Jay just animated a 3/3 mouse.
Yeah, sure is. It's in everything.
Exactly. So it is a very, very strong mouse here when it comes to getting double strike and trample.
Soulstone Sanctuary is probably the most played card from recent sets.
It's incredible.
Aside from the Storm Glass Iron or Spyglass Iron.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I mean, this land's really incredible.
Yeah, it's just so great and everything. Thanks, Foundations. You're the real MVP.
The first time I activated this, attacked, and then the turn passed, and I'm like, oh, this must be a bug or something. It's still a creature.
But
and I'm like, oh, this land is unbelievable.
it's always a creature.
I think everyone has made that mistake right when they first start playing with that land.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We are going to combat. We've got some triggers to resolve here, and it looks like both mice are going to be targeting the Soulstone Sanctuary. So a vigilant, double-striking, trampling mouse rock thing is coming in hot towards Gerry's face.
And not exactly sure where the 4 triggers exactly went. I would assume, you know, double strike on all 3, and then trample for one of them would be my guess. But of course, we don't exactly have the mic to know for the players' wording on that. And
so let's see what Gerry goes for here, because as we mentioned, we do know that there is the Nowhere to Run in hand. What does he target?
And I think it was another This Town Ain't Big Enough that he drew as well. So, I mean,
okay.
A great play here. Gerry needed another disruptive element here. And that's the nice thing about these Dimir enchantments, these Esper enchantments, whatever deck you want to call them, is they really churn through value over and over and over again. So that's the appeal to them. You just never really run out of steam.
Oh, you know what's kind of nice, though, about Jay animating this land is that this town ain't big enough can't target that.
Yes. Yep.
It's a land.
That is very, very true.
But the Otter is getting Lord, so that's now, what, a 3/3 when this town is cast. So there goes Nowhere to Run back to hand, and the token copy goes away permanently of the Manifold Mouse.
And I'm not sure what was shrunk, but it must have been the land there.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And I do believe Jay missed a trigger off that recruit for the This Town Ain't Big Enough.
The second one?
Yeah,
Yeah, because there would have been another counter going somewhere. Triggers for every target.
Of course, you know, that is something you can miss. This is the highest level of, you know, professional play, competitive IRL, so you can miss a ton of stuff.
Alrighty, what do we got here, Gerry? Oh, there's the 6th land.
Terrible. The worst possible top deck for Gerry.
Boo.
Not being able to activate that. So,
yes.
Yeah, if he drew an untapped land, being able to activate the talent, get back This Town Ain't Big Enough, then has Nowhere to Run and this town available. But as it stands now, Nowhere to Run is face up from Jay, so knows exactly what to play around, and Gerry does not have a ton of life to work with.
No. Emberheart Challenger is going to get targeted by the Rockface Village, so now it has haste. It's going to exile another Rockface Village off the top of the library, and that's land for turn as well here for Jay.
And looks like Jay must be out of gas in hand. Never mind. I was going to say if we're activating that land, but
crikey,
that's it.
Innkeeper's Talent. This card is another absolute beater. I mean,
yes.
I don't think Bloomburrow gets enough love for the amount of like just powerhouses it has introduced to the format.
100%, yeah. Especially the Gruul deck. I mean, Gruul is what I would think is the best deck. I think it's very close between Dimir. You know, these Dimir enchantments, these Esper enchantments are kind of the new hotness. So I need to see them win tournaments before I call them, you know, one of the best decks. But as it stands, Gruul, week after week, just ends up still being amazing.
For sure. Sideboard time now for both players. So Jay picking up the win there, able to apply enough pressure that Gerry just couldn't keep the power at bay here. So what do we go to for sideboarding here for Gerry's side of things?
So for Gerry's, we're definitely going to bring in that other Gix command. That card is unbelievable. We're seeing basically every Dimir deck play 2 copies of that. You can play the Malicious Eclipse as well to be able to break serve a little bit, to be able to shrink Jay's battlefield whenever they try to go a little too wide. Outside of that, nothing looks amazing. I would probably bring in the Shieldred as well. You can bring in the Blotouts, but I think there's just too many converted mana cost 2 cards where, you know, I probably wouldn't bring in those. I like those a lot more against Dimir when you can have them sacrifice a Kaido and Enduring Curiosity, something like that. So I think I would just lean on those 3 cards for sure. Fear of Imposters, I'm not exactly sure when Gerry wants to bring those in. I would assume against Sunfall decks, so I wouldn't really be bringing in those. And then as far as Jay's list go, I would want to be... it's tough because Gerry's list is definitely not what you're exactly preparing for. This is a very new thing, and Jay doesn't know exactly what's in Gerry's list. So I think sideboarding from Jay's side is going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you can kind of guess, you know, a best estimation of what to expect based on just, you know, the best cards in the color pair.
Yeah.
That's, you know, for the most part, like, the thing I like about the aggressive decks is you want to be doing your thing.
Yes.
And if you do your thing quick, you're going to win.
And that's the thing I would look at too, Ailey, is like look at what cards from Jay that they would want to side out. And I'm not seeing anything that jumps off the page. Maybe I want to take out Torch. Maybe I want to take out Burst Lightning because it's going to be a lot more controlling postboard from Gerry. So bringing in maybe some questing druids to go a little bit longer. The Sentinel of the Nameless City is decent. We saw how good that Pop Patch recruit was. Maybe you bring that in if you don't expect a lot of sweepers. That's about all I would aim for from Jay's side.
Yeah, there is also a consideration for Paw Patch formation.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of just assume it's the go-to kill a flyer card, but it can also deal with the enchantments. So, you know, the nowhere to runs that were keeping him at bay for a little bit, that could be annoying enough to bring those in, but... You know.
Whenever you're doing that, where you're like, I'm going to take out this enchantment that gained you value, that's never the fight that you want to be doing. But, you know, if you're really afraid of those enchantments, people definitely do that, even though maybe it's not always correct. But, yeah, we definitely see the Paw Patch formations to deal with, you know, something we saw at the World Championship a lot, these demon decks, which basically just fell off the face of their earth in recent tournaments.
Kicked off by a rabbit. They do kick pretty hard, though, I will say.
Yeah, they kick hard, and Enduring Curiosity and Kaito laid the final punch as well.
They sure did. Alrighty, so both players are going to draw their 7, see if they like what they have in hand. I only see what... Well, no, that didn't look very good from Gerry. Do we have more than 2 lands there?
I think I saw 3 lands, but some of them look colorless. Definitely 2 Hopeless Nightmare.
Saw those.
And that card is great, but, you know, some of the hot, spicy tech, y'all, that we're going to be seeing throughout the weekend is a lot of people are bringing in the Obstinate Balos, the Wilt Liege, I want to say is the other card. Basically, the big 4/4 creatures that when you discard them, they go right into play.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of rumbles on social media where people were like, I need to borrow this. I need to borrow this.
Nathan Stoyer being one of them. He was like, I need these cards. This is not a joke, I repeat.
And, you know, when this is a closed deckless tournament, you just have to guess. When it's an open deckless tournament like we will be playing tomorrow, at least they can see it in the sideboard and just side out their cards. But
what was the mythic from a few sets? Nelhide Ferox? Was that the one? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, God, it was so funny. I remember the first time one of my opponents got by that. They just kind of hovered over it a bit, hovered over it some more, and then conceded.
Yep. You're like, this isn't fair.
Oh, boy.
Looks like both players took a mulligan to 6 here. See if they like this one a little bit better.
I think Jay is happy with their hand.
Ooh.
Okay, Gerry put in that one back 2, so going to go down here to 5.
Not great. Didn't get a perfect look at it, so we don't know how close it was. But Gerry's definitely a player that will aggressively mulligan,
Yeah.
as you should do. You know, in Standard. Standard has so much power right now that you really got to worry about your start, especially with a deck like Tamir Enchantments here.
Yeah, Standard's great at the moment, huh?
It's unreal. It's absolutely awesome. I have been thoroughly enjoying testing for this event. It's been a delight.
I will say I was a little worried and kind of skeptical when they announced, like the extended standard, basically, and then however many sets we have legal in the format. I was like, oh boy, that's going to be a hot mess. But you know what? It's a great hot mess, and I'm here for it.
100%. I think everyone, of course, is going to question that from the beginning. And, once we see it in action and we see what a good format it is, I think we're all kind of on board now.
Yeah. All right, so we are ready to rock and roll here. Gerry deciding which land he wants to go for. I believe there's a Hopeless Nightmare and a Noid's Run in hand.
Yep.
All right, so let's go Hopeless Nightmare. Discard a card, please, and thank you. And there goes a Monstrous Rage.
One of the best cards in Standard for sure right now.
A lot of people were like wondering, is this going to get a ban too? Is it too good?
It really is. It turns out a pump spell that gives +3/+3. This isn't your granddad's giant growth when it leaves behind a +1/+1 counter.
Heartfire Hero. Gonna start things off here for Jay. On the other side of things, we now see Tiny Bones joins up. Tiny Bones getting to mill every time a legendary hits the board, and also another Hopeless Nightmare.
Yep, Gerry T attacking the hand here, which is definitely a solid plan, but the one bad news for any Gerry T fans, which there are many, only one card left in hand. That's got to be a good one.
Oh, fingers crossed. Let's hope so. Because, currently it's just mono black 1-drops.
Yep. So, I mean, something like a Fear of Isolation or something where you can get a body, you can pick it up again. It's not bad. But, yeah, as it stands, this is one of the ideal starts. Being able to get in a hit for 4 and go from there.
All right. Okay. That's fine. So that little guy's dealt with, and also made small, so no death trigger there.
Yep, -1, -1. So Gerry gains 1, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, of course. Precisely. Thank you, Corey. Please don't believe what he says.
I'll be here all weekend.
Crikey. Oh, there's the questing druid that we thought we might see, so we're going to exile, seeking the beast, and finding 2 wizards. Not wizards, lizards, but yeah, you know what I mean.
And, I mean, those are great.
Yeah.
Hired Claws are definitely even better in multiples. They do stack very favorably where if you attack with 1 and you have 2 of them out there, they take 2 before even you get to block.
Yeah, no, that's sweet. And they also, get bigger the longer the game goes, so...
There is Fear of Isolation and Nowhere to Run, which is great, but with Jay's draw of going very wide here, 1 spot removal is not great. So Gerry definitely has a uphill battle here for sure.
Yeah. Like Gix Command you mentioned, I mean, Malicious Eclipse would still... Okay, it would deal with... it would deal with the whole board at this point. So if we can find a Malicious Eclipse, perhaps that would be ideal here for Gerry, who's in a bit of a pickle.
If Gerry brings it in, that is the type of card that when I'm playing this style of deck, I personally like to bring those type of cards in on the draw because I know my opponent's draw is going to be aggressive. When I'm on the play, I want to try to be the proactive player. Sure. But when you have 5 cards, it's hard to be proactive, and we'll see exactly how Gerry sideboarded.
Yeah. Looks like we are sacrificing the Hopeless Nightmare to take a look through the top of the library and try and shore up the draw here for Gerry. Does he find something good? A bit of a shrug there, going like, okay, that'll do. Let's see what you found.
Or it could have been like another 5-drop, and Gerry's like, my luck. I could see either or here from Gerry T.
Yep. Okay, well, here comes the burb. So Fear of Isolation is going to return Hopeless Nightmare, which will immediately be recast and cause the discard for Jay. Another mouse in the bin. There's some good stuff going into the graveyard here for Jay.
Absolutely. And Gerry did bottom a Fear of Isolation, deeming it not good enough, but then drew it. So that was kind of his shrug.
Please, I don't like being alone, is basically what this creature is telling us.
Exactly. So now as it stands, Jay already just has a good attack here. Here is 2 pings, putting Gerry down to 10, and whatever Jay blocks, he can just boost up that, so it trades, Or can just pay 4, put 2 counters on each, and ends up being really, really tough here for Gerry.
Yeah. So these creatures just getting wider as this game is going on, and Manifold Mouse wasn't getting in on the action, so not too worried about that trigger this time around. Turn passes back now to Gerry Thompson. Takes a look at the card. Doesn't seem super happy about it, if I'm honest.
Hasn't been happy since the start of this mulligans, you know. That is really, really brutal stuff.
Yep. Turn passes back. 2 cards in hand. Jay's got the world at their fingertips currently. And looking for a clean 2-0 here against Gerry Thompson.
Oof.
Ooh, okay. Let's kill some stuff.
So gets a counter, goes to kill the only blocker. And now if Gerry were to counter that or kill one creature, really no matter way you slice it, you're in a lot of... And we do see Gix command and cut down.
Okay, all right.
But we're so far away from casting the Gix command that it's just... You know, Jerry's best draw is running lands, I guess, and it just will not be enough. So this looks like JT is going to advance to 3-0 and be at an amazing start here at our very first Spotlight event.
Spotlight Foundations off to an excellent start here indeed. And there is the fist bump, so JT
there it is.
picking up the win with Gruul aggro in essentially the fashion we'd expect to see from a deck that's pretty well polished and fine-tuned at this point.